And welcome to the live show. If you're just watching for the very first time, maybe not watching it live, but watching it after the fact, I'd love if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can leave comments either during the live broadcast or comments after the fact. And welcome, if you're new to this, to the channel. Some videos that are going to be dropping this week. We have the Crosstrek with the new 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. So Subaru has the base 2-liter engine, and they also have available the 2.5-liter boxer engine. So the video on that car will be dropping on Wednesday. That night, the Venza will be dropping. There's embargoes on these for the Canadian marketplace, so we have to abide by those. That's why we got the cars. And also a full video review with Andrea and I will be coming out on Saturday. And this Saturday is going to be the Highlander Hybrid. So have at it and make sure you leave lots of comments and share them with your friends. By the way, the main channel sponsor is Car Cost Canada. If you're in Canada and you're not signed up yet, go over to Car Cost Canada and sign up using the promo code MOTORMOUTH, which is the name of the channel. You become an expert member. You get extra searches. It's definitely worth your time. All right. Excuse me. All right. Let's get into some of these questions. Huge Haggis is here. Mr. Big, Mr. Huge, who's joining us from Stratford, Ontario. Thanks for being here. Hit the like and subscribe. I like that. Sam B is here. Any plan to review the Mercedes A-Class soon? I had the A-Class lined up, and then what they do with press cars typically is when they get to a certain age, when they mile up to a certain amount, they pull the car off the fleet and then they sell it to a dealer typically. And that car, I was sort of at the end and I didn't get it. So I'm waiting for a new one to come in. And when it comes in, I will let you know all about it. Mo Anthony, will you be test driving the new Rogue? Yes, of course. So the Rogue has been shown. I just want to turn all my notifications off here. The Rogue has been shown. They did have a static sort of display of it, but nobody was allowed to drive it yet. But when I get my hands on it, of course, I'll be doing a full review. Wristwatch check. I am wearing my Zodiac Super Seawolf. Excuse me, on an aftermarket Jubilee bracelet. And the thing is, for those who maybe haven't watched before, those are the things I'm into. I'm into cars, obviously, and watches. Mr. Forklift, is Car Cost the same as Car Wow? Not exactly. Car Wow, from what I understand, I don't really know much about it because it's a British site, but Car Wow is where dealers bid on your business. So say you want to buy a Ford Escape and then dealers bid on that. I understand that's how Car Wow works. Car Cost Canada is the opposite. What you do is you actually get the dealer's cost, what it actually costs to buy the car from the manufacturer, any incentives and discounts. If you don't want to actually deal with the dealer directly, they can broker the deal for you. So it is kind of similar. By the way, also open, if anybody wants to do a super chat, feel free to type in where the $ is. You pay a small fee to the channel, but you get your questions answered right away. What's your opinion on the 08 Mitsubishi Eclipse GT Spider? I have mine since 09, 170,000 miles. Normal maintenance, runs like new. Well, why are you asking me? You just basically gave us a rundown of your car. So you have a 12-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse GT Spider. You've got 170,000 miles on it. Runs great. There you go. That's what I think of it. Eric V, have you tested the Venza already? Yes. All of the footage is in here, and I'll be editing it the next couple of days, and it'll be out on... So here's the way it works. The embargo lifts Thursday morning at midnight Eastern, but I'm on the West Coast, so it'll be 9 p.m. Wednesday. that's when the embargo lifts. I don't even know why they haven't. I guess they have an embargo in Canada because all the Canadian journalists are getting a chance to drive it now. The problem I have is that Canada was behind the 8 ball and getting the cars to us. Same with the Prius Prime. U.S. journalists have already had a chance to drive it and already have reviews out there. Zach, any idea when the next gen 4Runner will be released? I heard rumors of a 2022 unveil or 23 model year. Is it worth buying a 1920 TRD Pro? Nobody knows. Toyota are the only ones that know what the timeline is. Anybody that tells you they do know, it's just sheer speculation. My advice to you is, yes, it is worthwhile getting a 19 or 20 TRD Pro. And the number one reason is next to the Jeep Wrangler, the 4Runner has the best resale value of any vehicle sold, at least here in the Canadian market. So there's no downside to buying a 4Runner for a couple of years and then waiting to see what the new one's like. There's rumors it might be a hybrid, or available with a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. It's probably going to have the 3.5 liter 6-cylinder. Gone will be the 4 liter. Probably more gears in the transmission, like an 8-speed. If it's the same engine as Tacoma, mixed results with that engine, not the best engine. So what I would suggest is buy it knowing that you're going to get good money for it. Here's what happened on the weekend. I have neighbors that live across the street. They have a 20-year-old Toyota 4Runner. Now, granted, they keep it in nice shape. But they were on the ferry recently, going on one of the ferries, and had all these people coming up to them asking them about their truck and if it's for sale. These things have a cult following. You will never have a problem getting rid of a 4Runner. So that's my advice to you. Come in, come in. Oh, Jack, have a seat. Say hello to everybody. My son Jack, everybody. What have you got? He comes bearing gifts. It's beer o'clock. So, who's going to win the NBA championship?
Lakers. It's not. I mean, it's gonna go like 6 or 7, but I don't think that Miami can win.
Now, Miami's won a game?
2-1, yeah.
Oh, for
But
the
still,
Lakers?
Yeah. But still, it's not looking too good for them.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I've already said the Seahawks will. They're 4-0.
And what about the Bills?
Also 4-0.
That's my team.
But they shouldn't have won in week 3.
Okay, Jack.
Bad PI call.
Thank you, sir.
He's still gone. Refs are in your favor.
All right, there you go. Refs are in my favor. I'll take a win. Cheers, everybody. This is what we call the subscriber sip. I sip, you subscribe. Oh, by the way, my other son is in the garage working out. He got a bench press and he got a, what's it called, a squat rack. And he got a bunch of plates. He's out there getting all jacked. But I had to clean out a big corner of the garage. And I found this box with old photographs in it. Check this out. This is my brother and I. And that's me with the teddy bear in front of my grandfather's Ford in Scotland. So when my brother and I were little, my parents separated and my brother and I went with my mom back to Scotland for a couple of years. I think it was 4 years. And we lived with my grandparents for a bit. And so my brother and I are going back and forth. He says, where's that picture of us in front of the car? So if anybody knows, I think it's a Ford Cortina. My brother thinks it's a Ford Popular. I still think it's a Cortina. And that would be a 60s model Cortina. And the interesting thing about this and me and my family is my grandfather in Scotland was a daily newspaper photographer. So he used to drive on the front of this car. You can't see it. He had a little badge that said press, so he could drive most places and park most places. But that's pretty cool. So it's interesting how all these years later, I'm sort of still kind of in the family business. Interesting, right? How does the GLI compete with the ILX? Well, the ILX is smaller. It's much older technology, much older platform, much older engine, all of those sorts of things. But the engine in the ILX is fantastic. It's one of those older Honda engines. It runs on premium gas. The GLI does not. The GLI is bigger. It's more modern. I think it has more horsepower. Yeah, it has 228 horsepower, where the ILX has, I think it's just over 200, 201. Don't quote me on that off the top of my head. Both have dual clutch transmissions. You can get the GLI with a manual. You cannot with the ILX. The ILX is a great little car, and anybody that tells you otherwise hasn't driven it. What it doesn't have is a new interior. The interior is old, it's dated, but if you get a screaming deal on one, why not? I drove one a year or so ago, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun to drive, and it kind of reminded me of older Hondas. It is an older Honda Civic platform. It's an older Honda Civic, basically SI engine, but with a dual clutch transmission. What do you think of the new BMW design for the M3 and M4? I think it looks ridiculous. I'm not sure how this is going to end for BMW. And BMW has done this before. BMW has had out their designs. In the early 2000s, they had what were called the Bangle butts. We talked about that in the Cadillac CT4V video. And that was much maligned, but then people got used to it. BMW had very advanced infotainment systems that didn't work particularly well, called iDrive, in that same car in 2002 is when they brought out the 7 Series. But then they've gone on to perfect it. In my opinion, it's one of the best in the industry. So sometimes they push really far forward, and then the rest of the industry catches up. I don't know. I think it looks kind of ridiculous. James is back. Hey, James, nice to see you here with a super chat. I'll buy the beer for you. Like, subscribe. Thanks, Zach. There you go. So if you could like and subscribe, that would be great. Hey, there's one dick with a thumbs down. Why? Is it Jack's Seahawks pick? Is that what it is? The fact I like the Buffalo Bills? Like, what can a guy do? All right. Let's go back to figure out where we were. Hopefully you can do an RS6 Avant review. I would love to do an RS6 Avant. I was invited to go and drive that in California for the launch. This was, when was it? Yeah, right around the LA Auto Show last year. So almost a year ago, November. And I couldn't go, which is a shame because now none of that's happening. None of us knew. And unfortunately, Audi, along with Volkswagen, don't provide cars here for me in Vancouver. So I was always going to go to all of these events, but now that we can't travel, it's unfortunate. VW ID4 is stunning looking, and I really like it. What do you think of it? I think this is going to be interesting to watch, okay? Because what we've seen in the electric car market over the last 3 or 4 years, especially since they came out with the Model 3 and now the Model Y, is the public perception of electric cars is it's Tesla or nothing, right? So in the United States, 80% of electric cars that are sold are Tesla. And then you have everybody else, like you have the Nissan Leaf, the Chevy Bolt, and so on, makes up just 20% of the marketplace. By the way, the Porsche Taycan is selling incredibly well. I've seen quite a few of them already, and it's outselling many of their more popular cars. So this is going to be really interesting to watch. When the ID4 comes, which is almost exactly the same size as the Tesla Model Y, but I think it's going to be cheaper. And then to see how the market reacts to it. I think it looks fine. It's a nice size. It's got a longer wheelbase than the Model Y. It's going to have the right amount of range. It ticks a lot of boxes for people who are buying an electric car, but is anybody going to be excited about it? Or is it just, like I always talk about, Tesla and nothing else? I think that attitude that people have where I only want a Tesla is to the detriment of the other car manufacturers who are spending billions and billions and billions. 30 billion euros, not dollars, 30 billion euros is what the Volkswagen Group is spending on electrification. So they better sell some. Now, Taycan is already selling well for the Porsche side of the family. e-tron is selling well, especially in Europe for Audi. So we'll see how it goes. Norbert, Porsche Cayman GTS 4-liter manual or PDK? Are you the only one driving it? Do you have to share the car with somebody else? A perfect example is Andrea and I. Like, she just learned how to drive manual on a MX-5 video we did recently, but she would be much more comfortable driving a Porsche with the PDK. So if I'm buying that car, I'm probably buying PDK, so that means we can both drive it. What are you doing with it? If it's just to go and drive on the weekend and have some fun with it, then a manual might be the way to go. If you're going to be using it every day and you're going to be stuck in traffic on and off the clutch, maybe the PDK is the way to go. So I don't know. It comes down to you and your lifestyle. If it was me personally and I didn't have to factor in, the other half of the team here, which is my wife, it would be manual. That would be easy. Ultra Frozen. I might have asked this before. Have you ever driven a 78 Toyota Cressida? I'm not sure what year it was, but I have driven Cressidas before. I've driven Cressida sedans and Cressida station wagons. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did the old Cressidas have the 3 wipers on the back? Ultra cool. But yeah, with the inline 6-cylinder engine, wonderful, wonderful cars. Hey Zach, how does Car Cost Canada work? Planning on buying a 2020 Defender 90. Will it help? Okay, so here's the way Car Cost Canada works. The main sponsor of the channel. Once again, sign up using the promo code Motormouth. That's the name of the channel. You are going to go in there and you're going to put in the trim that you want. So Defender 90 and kind of the options, you'll find it there. And when you and do this, because as I mentioned, if you sign up using the promo code Motormouth, it doesn't cost you anything. What you'll be able to do with that is find out what the dealer's cost is for the car. Okay, so we'll pick a round number. I don't know this for this car. I'm just picking a number. Say the car retails for 65, and you go on there and you find that the dealer pays 58 for the car, or $60,000. Well, now there's some wiggle room in there. Then you'll know, hey, you'll see also there might be some kind of special lease incentive in play that particular month, or there's a rebate. Probably not with Defender because it's a brand new car. There's a demand for it. But older cars like Range Rover Sports that have been out for several years, there's probably incentives in play. So what you'll do is you'll get an idea of what the dealer paid for it, what kind of special deals there are, and then you can take that information and go to the dealer and say, hey, let's work out a price that's favorable to me. I know what you paid for the car. You got to make money, or you can contact Car Cost Canada and they can introduce you to a dealership that's favorable to working with you on the price. And that's really how it works. And by the way, I've had lots of people who have commented here on the channel say that they've used it and they've saved quite a bit of money. How reliable is CVT? Depends which company. Some brands are good and some not so good. Hey Zach, what do you make of the claims the industry could have been making much more fuel efficient cars decades ago, but didn't because oil companies, 50 mile per hour carburetors, more gears, GM EV death. This is this is one of the oldest things going there was all this technology that oil companies bought and stashed away because they didn't want cars to become more efficient. That's nonsense. There has been a race since the 70s when we had the first oil crisis in 1974, I believe it was, to make cars more efficient and how to do that. And sure, a lot of the technology we've seen in the last 10 years around mild electrification like hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and now full EVs are because the restrictions on average fuel economy are much higher, and they are going to be much higher moving forward. But if there was some silver bullet that could produce amazing fuel economy years ago, one car company would have used it as an advantage over another car company. So I don't believe that for a moment. I think what we've seen with fuel economy and car companies over the last few decades is incremental improvements, right? And every trim, every new model that comes out is generally more efficient than the vehicle it replaces. And maybe it's not more efficient, but there's more equipment involved, so it kind of nets out as being equal. Because that's what we're seeing right now in the auto industry. So people are buying bigger cars that were as efficient as a smaller car was years ago. Perfect example is, I'll use the Canadian market because this is where I live. the best sellers were compact cars like Corollas and Civics. Now the best sellers are RAV4s and CRVs, so bigger vehicles. But now these new ones get the same fuel efficiency that the Civics and the Corolla got 10 years ago. So the savings have been put into bigger vehicles. But I don't buy that for a moment. I mean, the auto industry is one of the most competitive industries in the world, and any technological advantage has been exploited over the years. What do you think of the new Civic 2022? Very plain, dull styling. I don't think I've seen it. Did I miss something? Bring back diesel. Huge fan. Is the map behind you places you have visited and have visited Poland? Okay, so this map behind me here, all these dots here are places I've visited. So being as far away as, I can't see it here, but over here, Asia, South Africa, South America, and Australia, all over the United States and most of Europe, but not Poland. Haven't been to Poland. Like to get to Poland. That would be cool. Your opinion on 6-cylinder versus 4-cylinder turbo, please. So, are you talking about a naturally aspirated 6-cylinder versus a turbo 4-cylinder? Well, they both have their advantages. I'll give you a perfect example. I picked up today the new Chevy Trailblazer, which is their new small utility or subcompact utility. So a little bit bigger than the Chevy Trax, but not as big as Equinox. This thing has a 1.3 liter, wait for it, 3-cylinder. A 1.3 liter 3-cylinder in a utility. And it's actually pretty good. In fact, of all of these new batch of small utilities that I've driven, it's the one with the most responsive engine. And it's this tiny little 3-cylinder engine. So turbocharging makes up for a lot of shortcomings of naturally aspirated engines. So you have a lot better torque at low end. You have greater horsepower gains. It gives you a broader spectrum of usable driving. Now, the advantage of a 6-cylinder is you get a bigger engine, and it's going to have pretty good torque as well. Most of them are 3.5 liters, and longevity. So this is the one thing where people get hung up on it. They think, okay, I'm going to get a V6, say Camry, over maybe a turbo 4-cylinder Accord, because it's a known entity. Well, if that's what gets you jazzed, and that is a concern of yours, then do it. If you're not buying into the whole turbocharging and 4 cylinders working harder and is it going to be more maintenance down the road, don't buy one. But my advice is you're probably going to have to move sooner than later, especially in sedans, because a lot of these V6s are going to go away. Probably the next Camry will not be available with a V6, so enjoy it while you can. With Elantra N-Line and Corolla Apex, do you think manufacturers are going back to the affordable fun cars that in retrospect seemed prevalent in the 90s? I don't really believe that this is going to get too many people jazzed. I think what's happening is sales of cars are dropping so quickly, and you're seeing this across not only little hatchbacks, but sedans, midsize, and compacts, that car manufacturers are throwing more and more and more at these cars to get people to continue to buy them. You have to remember, a car company is in the business of making and selling cars. They have production facilities all over the world that they have to keep moving along. So in order to have, say, a factory that makes 200,000 cars a year relevant, you have to have cars that come out of the end of that factory that people want to buy. So in order to keep people excited about cars, you're seeing manufacturers adding turbocharged. We pick the Mazda 3, for example. It's gone from having just a 2 and a 2.5 liter, now available with turbocharged technology. It's gone from being just a front-wheel drive to now available with all-wheel drive. So just think of that's an incremental change even in the last 2 or 3 years. The Nissan Altima. Altima now here in Canada comes standard with all-wheel drive. Camry is now available with all-wheel drive. And you're going to see this more and more and more. There's going to be more things thrown at sedans and cars in order to keep people continuing to buy them because, you know, car factories have to continue to produce vehicles, and in order to get people to buy them, they have to incentivize them through either money or with features, and that's what I think they're doing right now. But are these cars going to be like, you know, people are going to be clamoring to buy them? No, people are clamoring to buy utilities. Full stop. That's what people buy. Hey, Zach, been watching you since you used to come on Motoring TV back when you reviewed Brian Chow's Dynan 335. You said it felt like an old 911 Turbo. Which were you referring to? Well, that's a long time ago. But what I think here is not Motoring TV. That was Driving TV. And I remember we did do Brian. It was really cool because Brian Chow, my former colleague at Driving Television, but still my buddy, and he has a YouTube channel called Everyday Reviews. He went to the dealership, and Steve Dynan was there himself, and he interviewed Steve Dynan, and he said to him, "Oh, I'd like to, you know, he's had a 335, beautiful car, and I think it was Estral Blue. It was a great looking car." And he said to him, "I'd like to get mine done." And he says, "Well, wheel it in the back." So I said to him, "How cool! You should have got Steve Dynan to sign the inside of the headrest or something. How cool is it that you get the guy himself to do it?" But yeah, great car. So I don't remember. I mean, you can watch the video. Probably what I was thinking of is probably a 996 turbo. I'm curious about the new Trailblazer. How does it drive? Is the CVT well balanced? Jerome Levesque Boucher from Quebec. Good to see you. I don't have the CVT. Now, they have two engines, a 1.2 and a 1.3. The 1.3, which they believe most people are going to buy, is connected to, I believe it's a 9-speed automatic. I have the notes here on my, let me just look it up. I have the notes on my computer. I had to sit through a presentation. I'm going to find it though. Oh, shoot. I don't know where it is. Anyway, so the majority of them come with the 9-speed automatic. The base model, and I believe the front-wheel drive comes with the CVT. Haven't driven that. The one I have with the automatic is really quite sharp and good. Hi, Zach. Looking at 2021 RAV4 Hybrid, just wondering how hybrids perform in a Canadian prairie winter. Okay. You will notice if you have a hybrid car in a cold climate, whether it's Canada or the United States, that the gasoline engine comes on, and it comes on because it needs to warm up the fuel emission system. So what you're probably not aware of is there's something called a shed test. And I believe it's 3 minutes. It might be 2, but I believe it's 3. What they do is they put a car in a shed, and then they start it up and they run it, and then they measure the pollution that's in the shed. So it's a closed system, and they can test. A car that pollutes its most when it just starts. What happens is you need exhaust gas from the engine to heat the catalytic converter and the scrubbing system in order to affect tailpipe emissions, okay? So because it's cold in Canada in the winter, the Toyota hybrid will come on to get the engine up to operating temperature, to get the catalytic converter up to operating temperature, to make sure that it's compliant for this test, okay? So that's a long technical answer to tell you that in cold conditions, the gasoline engine will be coming on more often because it needs to be operating in a certain temperature for it to be emissions compliant. Does that make sense? So when you have a hybrid in cold weather, fuel economy suffers because the engine needs to be on more often. Plus, you need to get heat in the cabin and all those sorts of things. But the rest of the year, you're going to get incredible fuel economy. It does suffer in the winter, but it is still much better than a typical straight gasoline car. So, yeah, when it's really, really, really cold, you might always be running, just so you're aware. Waiting on the Civic Hatch touring review. That has been recorded. I think we've got 5 videos in the pipe here. So this week, Crosstrek, then Venza, then Highlander Hybrid, then one other Civic, hatchback, and then the Trailblazer. Yeah, we got a bunch. Hey, hello from Berlin. Cool. You know what? I've been to Germany so many times with car companies. Porsche, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen. Never with BMW. Ever with BMW. And we always go to Frankfurt and Munich. And we go to Stuttgart, of course, because Porsche and Mercedes are from Stuttgart. But never to Berlin. I was invited once to go for a Volkswagen Beetle launch in Berlin. And I couldn't go. And it's the one city... and I'd also like to go to Hanover. I'd like to see Hanover. But Berlin looks so cool. Oh, by the way, you have camera settings showing at the bottom of your screen. Really? Because I don't see it on my monitor. Oh, I see. The plus minus thing here. Yes, I'll have to figure that out. I've had camera issues. This camera that you're seeing me on now, I didn't get up and running until 10 minutes before we went live. I was sitting here screaming at it. There has been a camera change, just so you're aware. And I will figure out how to get rid of that. But right now, we're going to let it run. That's my... all right, I see what it is. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's there. How is the Mazda 3 GT compared to the Honda Civic and Elantra? I don't mind less cabin space in the Mazda 3. I'm not sure which Civic and Elantra you're talking to. I like the way the Mazda drives. I'm not sold on the way it looks. It's a very claustrophobic interior for me. It's all very personal. I find the windows small and the roof kind of low, and it feels, and some people might like that. I didn't love the Civic Touring. Andrea loved it. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was great. Well, you wait till you see the review, but I'll give you a little snapshot. Basically, I said all the way through the review, just buy a GTI. Don't buy this. I don't think Honda's going to like that. Raj is back. Hey, Raj, there he is. They say he looks like Dwayne The Rock Johnson there. Finally made the live show again. M4 and M3 are starting to grow on me. What are your thoughts? I think this is one of those things, and I have been a critic of car designs in the past, and I've learned my lesson. And the lesson is, typically when you see a way out there design, at first you kind of like, ugh. And that's my first reaction to the M3 and the M4. But I guarantee you, once you see it on the street, and once you kind of get used to it and it becomes part of the car landscape, as it were, it probably is going to grow on you a bit, to the point that that car will look like the new hot one, and then the old one, you're going to go, the old one looks kind of like dull in comparison. I don't know. And everything is how does it work in the steel and the glass, not the flesh, but you know what I mean. I have to see it. Okay, PH is saying, I'm kind of way behind here. He thinks it's a Ford Cortina. I think it is too. I'm having this discussion with my brother. He thinks it's a Ford Popular, and I said, no, I don't believe it is. I'm pretty sure it's a Ford Cortina. So if you're just tuning in now, there's my brother and I in front of my grandfather's Ford. Now that is an old car, but if you know what it is, I think it's a Cortina as well. Mohammed is saying, hey, Zach, regular viewer here. I bought the Elantra Sport, and it's a really good car for daily driving and has enough power. Thank you. Great car. 201 horsepower. I totally agree with you. I'm not sure if you got the hatch or the sedan. They're different platforms. Maybe the new one is on the same platform, but they were on separate platforms. I thought that the sedan was better, but yeah, they're both good cars. Do you have any idea what the next engine is going to be in the Toyota Tundra? I don't know, but it has to be. It has to be more fuel efficient. The Tundra right now is just horrible on gas. But it's the same thing as the 4Runner. The 4Runner's terrible on gas. The Tundra's terrible on gas. But what you pay for in extra fuel, you make up in resale value. The resale value of a 4Runner is like lights out. And a Tundra is also very good. So I call it the dollars in, dollars out. So yeah, you're putting more dollars into the car, but you get more dollars out when you go to sell it. Always something to consider. My prediction is They're going to have some kind of hybrid or plug-in hybrid variant of that in between now and 2025. I think that they're probably going to go to just another V8, but it'll be much more efficient. Hey Zach, why do Tesla claim to have the highest resale value? I imagine they used market for the Teslas is quite small, and these cars may be less liquid compared to more popular gasoline cars. I had a discussion with somebody from Canadian Black Book, which is like the equivalent of a Blue Book here in Canada, and their research shows that they don't. The claims of best resale value, I have to look more into it. But the conversation I remember having was that it wasn't that good. My issue with the Model 3, which is the one they're talking about, and that it has great resale value, in my opinion, the Model 3 was a placeholder car. The car that everybody wanted is the Model Y, this small SUV. People aren't buying really small cars like that. They bought it because it was the only affordable Tesla you could get. So the history is Model S was been out, I think, 8 years now ago. And that was the one that everybody bought because it was the only one you could get. And then they brought out the Model X. And the Model X didn't really sell that well. And then they brought out the Model 3. And what happened to Model S and Model X sales? They nosedived. Model S sales are a fraction. I mean, a very small fraction of what they used to be. So people are like, oh, I want the less expensive Tesla. Now they have it in the Model 3. But the Model 3 isn't the vehicle that people really want. They really want the Model Y because everybody wants utilities. So my prediction is all of those people that bought Model 3s, the market is going to say they want Model Y. So there's probably going to be more used Model 3s in the next little while, the next year or so, than there probably are buyers. I don't know. That's just my theory. That's my theory. What do you think? Hey, Josh is here from Montreal. I'm seeing a bunch of new Audi Q7s. To me, it's probably the best all-round SUV and 10,000 less than an X5. Yeah, and I think because the Q7 has been out now for a few years, they're probably stronger on their incentives and deals. So there you go. I'm just wanting to check something here. So I think someone's saying that camera issues. Have you checked out Leo Laporte? He's a tech guy. Yeah. You know what? I have to tell you about camera issues. I just want to go down. There's one thing I want to say to you. He says, Zach, new camera gives way better sound. Thanks. The camera has no sound. It's a microphone. It's a shotgun microphone, and it always has been. So maybe I turned it up. So if that's the case, I'll run with it. Richard McFarland is saying, what year was the photo taken? My take, it was post 1969. It's a Cortina. Yeah, so this was taken after that, obviously, and I think it was probably around. I think it's, you're right on the money. I think it's probably a late 60s Cortina. I know you're a huge watch guy. Care to tell us what's on your wrist? So you missed it earlier. This is a Zodiac Super Seawolf that I bought for myself for Christmas. Okay, I'm going to go back where I was. I apologize. So, I missed it last week. I was in Toronto for Motoring TV. If you're not aware, I host a TV show on TSN across Canada. I'm one of the hosts on Motoring TV, and we were doing some segments up in the Collingwood area. We had beautiful, sunny, hot weather, and then I got out just in time. Then it got cold. But anyway, when I was there, it was very warm. So yes, I apologize for not being here last week, but yes, I'll be back here more and more. Any BMW styling, automatically blame it on the infamous Chris Bangle. New M4, definitely Bangle. Well, Chris Bangle left BMW, and he went on to become an industrial designer for, I believe, appliances, from what I remember. I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah, he left the auto industry. Jerome's back again. Just followed your advice last week and had an RF MX-5 test drive while they were strapping the winter rubbers on my CX-30. You son of a bitch. You were right. I'm in love and no money for it. Well, wait a second. Jerome, you were going to buy, we've been back and forth on email, you were going to buy a Volvo or what was the other one? An Audi Q3. So you've got some spare change left over from buying the Mazda CX-30. Yeah. And so that's great that your dealer let you do that because it is a wonderful car. I think the MX-5, in my opinion, is one of the best cars ever made. And I always say, and you can watch all of my reviews about that car, I always say, people go on about it's a chick car and it's not right. Just drive the damn thing. You will be impressed because it is not that. It is a wonderful machine. Dinesh is saying, I'm looking at purchasing a pickup truck, placed a deposit on the Cybertruck, but it looks like it'll be delayed. Shocker of shockers. Would you wait to buy a traditional truck leaning towards a Ram 1500? Well, you know, it's funny because Elon Musk was at it again last week talking about a $25,000 electric car. And I wrote on one of the forums that said, I'll believe it when I see it. And that's exactly it. I mean, I think with a lot of these things, they come out with a kind of a concept. They roll it out to get everybody jacked on it, and then they go back into the back room and go, okay, now we've got to figure out how to make it. So, I mean, even if you watch Jay Leno's Garage, where he drove around with Elon Musk, even in that video he said it needs to be smaller by about 5%. So it isn't fully baked. And, yeah, I don't know. If I was buying a truck today, I love the Ram. I think that I would, if it was my money and I had to buy a truck today, it would be a Ram Eco Diesel. Wonderful, wonderful truck. Hey, Zach, any thoughts on Honda's F1 exit? It just comes down to dollars and cents. I mean, F1 is outrageously expensive. And I'm not sure. I think what's happening is the audience for racing is a diminishing return. Generations that are coming up now are not interested in racing the way older generations were. I think that car companies are really going to look long and hard at the budgets that go into these things and how they might be better served putting those dollars to something else. I think that's all it is. They say that they're going to be focusing more on the new technology, electrification, and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's money, just plain money. It was the same thing with Volkswagen. Got out of the World Rally Championship. They won 5 championships or 5, I believe it was, and then they just stopped. It was just pure budget. They said they don't want to spend the money anymore, and that's it. Tom Donner, just wonder if you had any follow-up on the strange problem we found on the 19 Subaru passenger seat airbag. Okay, I think Tom sent me an email about his wife is very petite, and the airbag sensor would, like, she would sit in the seat, but the airbag would say it was off. I believe that's what you're talking about, Tom. I don't know anything more than that. I mean, I believe I sent an email to them, but there you go. Is it beneficial to buy additional warranty and prepaid service from a dealership, or is it just a money-making racket? Well, M. Gill, it depends on whether the car is brand new or not. I am not a believer in buying warranty for a car that's already under warranty. So we'll pick a regular mainline car. You get a 3-year warranty. What you should be doing is finding out the warranty as you get towards the end of that initial 3 years. So buying warranty for a car that's under warranty, for me, is not a good investment. So what you want to do is ask the dealer in 3 years or 2 years and 10 months, you say, if I want to come back and I want to buy additional warranty from you, what's it going to cost then? That's the question you should have. Save your money. And one of the reasons is that things can happen. Say, for example, you're a young guy and you've got a little hatchback car, and then you meet the girl of your dreams and you get married and you have a baby on the way, and things change. Well, 3 years ago, you're like, oh, this is the car I'm never getting rid of this car. This is the perfect car. And 3 years later, you got a kid on the way, you got a wife, and you're like, I need a bigger utility. So life changes. Don't invest in the future where you don't know what's going to happen. Things change. You could lose your job. You might get a better job. You might want to get a better car. So don't lock your money into a car that already has warranty. Now, what's the other thing? Additional warranty, prepaid service. This is a very simple thing to do. Go down to the service department and ask them what are the regular certain service intervals for the car and what do they cost. Okay? So you'll have, every 6 months or 8 or 9 months, you need to get the vehicle serviced. What is that going to cost? And then figure out what they're offering it to you for. So say regular service is $170, but if you buy the package, it brings the price down to $110. That's a pretty good deal. Same thing. You're paying for it in advance. If, for example, you meet the girl and you get married and you need a bigger, you've paid for something you're not going to use. Now, if it's transferable to the next owner, but probably you're going to trade the car in. I'm not a believer in that stuff. I'm like, I just pay as I go because I don't know what the future holds. Say the car gets written off in an accident. You've paid for service and the car's gone. Hey, Zach, what would you pick as a two-door for daily driving? Price below 50,000 Canadian. I would go Mustang GT, brother. Mustang GT all day long. Mustang GT. Jim Carson's here saying, I finally made it on time again. You're on a run, dude. I think it's a couple of shows you've been live. Linda Hassel, the Tesla is too plain, waiting for the ID Cross, like all the bells and whistles. So the ID Cross now is called the ID4. If you missed it, Linda, there is a video on the channel about the ID4. It was just released last week. And what you see in the video is the production model, okay? Now, the pricing, depending on where you live, is being announced in the U.S. or an estimate is being given in the United States. It has not been for Canada. The initial launch version of it in the U.S., they opened up reservations for that, are already gone. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch. So this is going to be the first real foray up against Tesla from a major car brand that isn't like a little runaround hatchback. Same thing for Nissan. They have their Aria that is coming. So they're going to have a full electric SUV. Chevrolet is going to have the Bolt EV in a utility or whatever it's going to be called. I think they're using that working title, but it's probably going to have a different name. So you're going to have ID4. You're going to have the new Chevrolet utility and the new one from Nissan. Plus, there's probably going to be others. That's going to be the real acid test of whether Tesla, if it's Tesla or nothing. I agree with you. I don't like the styling. I think they're really plain. I don't like the interiors. I think they're cheap looking. I don't want to do everything on a tablet screen, but that's just me. A lot of people love them. They love them. Like it's like a cult. Okay, here's Jerome again. Somebody was asking about, how you could save money. He saved $1,500 Canadian with Car Cost Canada, he says, and I was very skeptical. Now, he bought a CX-30. Now, the CX-30 hasn't even been out for a year. Came out last December. So he's buying a car and getting a discount on a new product that is selling very well for them. So the fact that there was a discount at all shows that the system works. So there you go. Okay, subscriber sip. Yeah, we have 76 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down. There's always one dick. There's always one of you. That's okay. I still love you. You're welcome here. Now there's 2. There you go. As soon as I say that, someone else gives me a thumbs down. That's all right. That's okay. Will you be test driving the Ferrari Roma? Maybe. Probably. I could. It's not my wheelhouse. I really don't do high-end exotic cars. You have to kind of figure out what your lane is and kind of stick in it. It's not my wheelhouse. I review cars that most people buy. I do some sort of like higher-end stuff, but most of the stuff I buy, like I kind of look at it, it's like kind of Porsche and down is where I am. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, much to my son who you saw earlier, Jack, to his chagrin. He's like, Pop, What do you mean you could have had a Lamborghini and you didn't take it? What do you mean you could have had a Rolls Royce and you didn't take it? What do you mean you could have had a Ferrari and you didn't take it? And I'm like, those aren't the cars I review. I said it's fun for me, but it's not my wheelhouse. But maybe. There you go. Technology to improve fuel economy is a two-edged sword. It also results in a more complex and expensive to repair auto. Not so easy to work on your own car anymore. Yeah, that is true, but the technology that's in modern cars is absolutely amazing. I wish that I had with my computers the same level of reliability that I have with a modern automobile. Think about this. I always marvel at this. You can buy a Toyota Corolla, for example. You change the oil on it, and you put gas in it, and that's it. It goes from minus 40 to plus 40. It goes through rain. It goes over bumps. It goes through deserts. It just starts every time. It drives. How the hell can car companies make a complex piece of machinery like a car, and with onboard computers, cameras, and everything, and it works day after day, month after month, year after year, and all you need to do to it is change the oil once in a while, and that's it. I wish my electronics were as reliable as a modern car. I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. When you think about what is in a car, so you've got all of the components of the engine, all of the components of the transmission, all of the computers that run everything. Then you've got electric motors for windows and windshield wipers and sunroofs and cameras, and it's just crazy. Anyway, like I said, amazing that they are so reliable. What's your opinion on the new Hyundai Tucson? There it is. There's the Hyundai Tucson. When can we expect to see it in the showroom in Ontario? It is, what did I say in the video? I think it said it's going to be spring next year. Go watch the video. It's there from last week. I said in the video, I think it's spring next year. I think it looks cool. So it's, I'm not, oh, my beer's in the way here. So it's got this really cool daytime running light treatment. So you have the daytime running lights that trickle into the front fascia. So very avant-garde. It's quite edgy and sharp along the side. From the side, it looks a little bit like a Highlander. To me, it's a bit busy on the side. The back looks really cool. It's got tail lights across the back that look very much like the Mach-E. Oh, that's another electric vehicle that's coming, the Mach-E from Ford. So I think it's going to do really well. It's cool looking for sure. Frank is here saying, which would you pick? A 19 Mazda 3 hatch all-wheel drive versus a Subaru Impreza hatch in terms of reliability, efficiency, and daily driver? Well, I just had the Crosstrek, which is the Impreza platformed car, with the new larger engine. And with that, I would still pick the Mazda 3. I think that the only downside to the Mazda 3 is there's no independent rear suspension. But it actually drives very well. They did a good job with it. But I just think that the engine and the transmission, and the fact the Impreza runs on a continuously variable transmission, for me, that takes it at the wire. The Mazda 3 for sure. If you're more of a somebody who likes to drive, you won't be disappointed. And if you can afford the 2.5 liter, do that. And if you can afford the new turbo, certainly do that. M. Gill, do you buy new cars or used cars? What is your personal preference? I bought both, and I bought plenty of both. I have, how many new cars have I purchased? Like brand new cars I purchased. I bought an old Chevy S10 pickup when I was starting out in radio years ago, long time ago. Brand new car. I bought a BMW X5 brand new, or leased it. I got an Audi A7 brand new. 2 Porsche Cayennes brand new. But all of my other cars have been used. I think it comes down to your education level on the products you're about to shop for and your pain threshold for work and maintenance. If you want to buy an older car and you can live with the fact that there might be some repairs that need to be done, you can certainly save money. However, if you're financing a car and you're keeping a car for 3 or 4 years, often getting it new from the factory with their discounts, their rebates, their low interest rates, and all those sorts of things, often it's a better financial decision because the car's under warranty. You don't worry about it. The lease is done in 3 or 4 years. You can give it back. You can keep it. That's why a lot of people lease cars. And that's why you need to go to Car Cost Canada, sign up, use the promo code Motormouth to find out, if that's the way you want to go. I've had both. I've had new, I've had used. It really comes down to your personal situation. Mary saying, what is your new take on the Genesis products coming to market? Well, the GV80, I think, looks fantastic. It's interesting. I was talking about, I was in Toronto last week. I had to fly, which was weird. I got to tell you, I'm going to look quick story about that. So I flew to Toronto on a Dreamliner, big plane. And I upgraded to premium economy because I had so many points, right? So I was in the premium economy section, which had 20-something seats. There was like 6 of us in that, and we were all spread out, which was good. Business class was packed, and then economy was jammed. So I was actually in the sweet spot. Not many people around us. Everybody's got to wear a mask, which of course. I was hand sanitizing like crazy. If I touched anything that wasn't me or anything I brought with me, I was like hand sanitizer. Go to the bathroom, wash my hands like crazy. Got off the plane, washed my hands. So I was like hyper hand cleanliness. Kept the mask on. They were like on the announcement saying, we're going to bring drinks and things by. If we're within 2 or 3 rows of you, you have to have your mask on. We give you the drink, and you can only have a drink once we're 2 or 3 rows past. These people are working in a little cigar tube at 40,000 feet. You got to respect the fact that they're going to work. So I get on the airplane. You're used to seeing Air Canada in their nice black suits and looking sharp. It was like full PPE. They had PPE gowns on, masks, and shields with rubber gloves. It was like they're going in to do surgery. But you know what? Kudos to them. I mean, you were on an aircraft with hundreds of other people every few days. You know what? The airline was doing a really good job. It was weird. So I flew from Vancouver to Toronto. I arrived at 4 in the afternoon. Now, the Pearson Airport in Toronto, if you're not aware, is the busiest airport in Canada. It was empty. There was nobody there. I got into the Uber and to go and pick up a press car at the place I had to get it, which is like 5 minutes away. And the guy was like super happy to see me. He says, "You're my first fare today. I started driving at 12 and I was his first fare at 4 in the afternoon." Strange. On the way back, I upgraded to business class, which was nice. So I had my own pod with the screen, same thing, washed my hands. But everything was packaged and wrapped. It's not the same experience. And it's kind of sad, to be honest with you. Kind of sad. Hey, we got a super chat. I'll take that. Cheers, brother. And thank you. And make sure you subscribe. As I take a sip, you subscribe. Anyway, it was very strange flying. I might have to go back to Toronto in a couple of weeks, but that'll be it until the new year. Yeah, there you go. Where the hell was I? What time are we at? Oh, we're almost at an hour. We got lots of people on board today. But thanks for everybody for being here. You know what I'm going to do? Never done this before. I'm going to post this on Reddit. Is that a good or a bad move? I'm going to post this on Reddit. I signed up for Reddit today, and they have a subreddit called R Cars, I believe it is, with a couple of million subscribers to that sort of forum. So I'm going to put it on there and see what happens. Oh, here you go. Chris Bangle works for himself now. Chris Bangle Associates, based in Italy. Well, there you go. I'd like to live in Italy. That'd be pretty good. Think about Italy. You get the food, you get the wine, you get the weather, and you get the beautiful women. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up where the hell I was. I apologize. All right, so it's always nice of you guys to be here. I appreciate it, and I think that I'm going to be back for a few weeks anyway, and won't be missing next week. Hey, Zach, looking at a compact SUV, what do you recommend? I live in Montreal. Now, what do you consider a compact SUV? That's the problem. I consider a compact, the classification is like RAV4 CRV. Is it the new smaller set? Andrew and I had this conversation the other day. So it's not really subcompact. They're called small utilities. So small is like the Trailblazer, the Seltos, the Kona, those sorts of things. And then compact is RAV4 and CRV. So I need a little more information on that. My dealer offered me a complimentary equity review on my leased vehicle, and there's still a year until the maturity. What do you think that means? Well, I'll tell you what it means. They want to get your car and sell it for a profit. Used cars are absolutely on fire. Just go and look at the prices of used cars. So, because you're leasing the car, it's probably 2 years old. They're thinking of getting that car back, and they say to them, oh, we'll get you out of this lease and we'll move you into a new one. So they buy the car, pick a round number for 20, and then they flip it and sell it for 27. So it's a quick way for them to make profit. Now, if you're smart, you will find out what the actual resale value of the car is. So you can do this easily by going, say, for Canadian Black Book, you type in your current vehicle, the current mileage, and you'll see what the wholesale price is. That's what a dealer will pay you for it. And then you can then go and look at what they're selling for in the marketplace. We'll pick those numbers again. So they might be offering you $20,000 for the car, but they're selling for 27. So the dealer's looking at that going, oh, this is nice. I can sell this for $7,000 more. Or the other one is a lot of cars are going south from here to Canada to the United States. And they're buying with American dollars, which are worth 25% more. So they come up here and they can get a lot more for a used car. So don't think that they're doing it out of their generosity to give you a good deal. They're in it to make money. But that poses an opportunity for you. If you know that, you can go back to them and say, okay, I'll do that equity thing you want to look at. Oh, you think it's worth 20? Okay, well, actually, I'm looking on the marketplace and they're selling for about 27. So tell you what, you give me $3,000 towards my next lease as a down payment, and then you can have this one. So you've now got $3,000 of equity in the new car. Not a bad way to go. Just think about it. See what it says. See what they say. How well do Subarus perform in the snow? Subarus perform very well in snow. The number one thing with winter is the tires. All-wheel drive, fantastic. Front-wheel drive is great. Rear-wheel drive, not so good. Tires, you put the right tires on, you can get most places. Need a second car for my wife. Mazda CX-30 top trim versus Kia Seltos SX top trim. I say you go drive them both. I like the Seltos. The CX-30 is a nice car, though. I would check them both out. See which one you like. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. Rogue owner here living in Montreal. Miss manual driving, and it seems that good all-wheel drive are very hard to find. Golf R seems to be the only reasonable, fun family car. Anything else you recommend? Thanks. You can still get Subarus. You can get the Crosstrek with manual transmission and all-wheel drive, but it's not going to be like a Golf R. That is a different level. But I think you're right. The number of, like an all-wheel drive, manual transmission car. Just trying to think. Yeah, you're kind of really limited. Audi's out of the game. BMW's out of the game. Mercedes has been out for a long time. If you can think of any others, I'd love you to chime in. I think that's one of the reasons why the Golf R is so popular, is because it has that opportunity. And it will be available with a manual. The next one will be available with a manual transmission. Okay, I'm just going to go down to the bottom here, see if there's anything I'm missing that is... All right. We're up past the hour, and Andrea is making chicken wings. And I'm going to go get me some. So I will be here next Monday. And if I'm away, I'll let you know about it. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Make sure you go to Car Cost Canada, sign up using the promo code MOTORMOUTH, and save some cash. And we'll speak to you next week. Take care, everybody.